Hey guys, welcome to our Inspire Metro podcast.
Come on, Elvy.
And so there's always a first time, diba? So today we're gonna talk about life, but basically it's about the series, no? About the book of Joshua, and we're so excited. We're so excited for this. Is it really like relevant also for this time? And maybe you can give us some, sort of introduction. What would be the book of Joshua and the whole series would be?
Yeah, that's great. Because in the beginning, there was God.
Alan explains it, yes.
Yeah.
No, but Josh, you were asking that same question, right?
Yeah, why Joshua? In this season and in this time of the church, where we are at now, what God is doing in the church. And alam mo naman, di ba, the past Sundays, even when Pastor Nolan was in Hawaii, he would always say, revival is coming. So I'm sure you studied it already, right?
Yeah.
You read the book, Joshua.
Yeah.
It's in the New Testament. No, but
It's your name.
Why Joshua? It's about me actually, this whole series. No, but why Joshua?
Yeah. Trip ko lang eh. No, I think for the past couple of years, because of the pandemic, because of COVID, I think it's so easy for us to, for so many, including myself, that there has been a season where parang we know the promised land, but maybe we haven't crossed into it yet.
Right.
Either physically, spiritually, either intentionally. I think really we're in a season where God is telling us, guys, the promised land is ready for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
And it is time for us now to cross over and actually claim it. I've known so many people that they've stopped chasing their dreams. They've stopped the courage of crossing over to see what that is. So many people I've noticed has just began settling. And even in my life, there's some areas where I've just been settling, but I really want us to explore the book of Joshua to say, okay, God, what is it going to take for our generation and generations to come to see that revival that you've called, that you have ready for us, that promised land?
Yeah.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my heart. My heart is that every single person that experiences this new series will literally say, oh, hey, I'm ready to cross. I want to claim that. I want to hold on to that. I don't want to just watch it. I don't want to just see it. I'm ready to take all that God has for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting kasi you said, diba? You said it's time for us to take or to hold on to our promised land, to enter our promised land. So, ang question ko is, what do we need to know? I don't want to preempt any of your messages, but what is that we need to know? At least the fundamentals lang, no? For us to be ready for this message. What do we need to know about ourselves and about God?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think what we got to know as we enter into this new series, I think we got to know that number one is that God has something for us. I don't know why, but we've fallen into, I know it's a generalization, but I think it's a safe generalization to say that many of us are trying to find what's my calling, trying to find what's my purpose, trying to find, as if God has hidden it.
Right.
And we are placed onto this world like a game of, that God has created a game and said, okay, I hidden it in this world, now go and find it, right? And now all of us are in a position where, oh, hey, I gotta find it, and I've gotta make sure that I'm in the right path. I say, if I'm not in the right path, I'll never find it, but I really believe God is not a hide and seek God.
Right.
Yeah.
That God has literally laid it out.
So good.
So I want us to come into this place not in a position of trying to find, but in a position of understanding that we are able to discover.
Right.
Finding and discover are totally different. Finding is meaning that it's hidden. Discover is meaning that it's already laid out.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to actually see what's laid out and discover, okay, this is what God has actually placed and is ready for me. The promised land is ready.
Yeah.
It was, di ba? It was seen. It was not hidden.
was
There was
there.
no veil. There was no secret. It was literally, ito siya. Ito yung
Yeah.
the land. Ito yung mga tao. Ito yung mga problema. Ito yung mga giants. And now, go. Right? And so, that's kind of where I believe that we gotta be ready.
I like that, yung go, no? Hindi sinabi ni God na find or search
Yeah.
for it or look for it, right? So it's really go. So it's really there already.
Yeah.
It's a matter of being bold, being courageous, and entering the promised land.
Yeah, I think it's so easy for us to fall into that, just that thinking of, I gotta find it, I gotta find it, I gotta find it. Or, how about this? I don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Ay, hindi ko alam anong will ni God. I don't know what my future is. I don't know what to do. And it, as if, we're supposed to figure it all out and then go.
Yeah.
Pero in this book, we're gonna see that, especially the command to Joshua, right? Be strong and courageous.
When God said, be strong and courageous, God mentioned it 3 times
Yeah.
in chapter 1. So what do you think is the reason why God had to repeat it, had to reiterate it to Joshua?
God repeats something for us to remind us, right? So he's saying be strong and being courageous because he's afraid, right? Because he feels weak. I think, come on, let's be real. Like, how many times have you know God wants you to do something, pero yung reasoning natin is hindi kaya. Hindi ko sure kung kaya ko. Hindi ko sure kung ready ako. Right, Elvy?
That's true. Tapos hindi niya ma-feel na ready na siya eh. Iniwan siya ni Moses, right?
Oo.
When Moses left, alam mo yun? So,
namatay kasi si Moses.
namatay-
Huwag mo
yeah.
nang sisihin. Ano naman eh.
namatay si Moses and here comes, alam mo yun, Joshua.
Oo.
And I remember one time, there's a story na parang yung hustle and grind culture, di ba?
Oo.
So, you want to be, parang you compare yourself to other people. Am I ready to enter into this new season? Something like that. Maybe I could relate to Joshua na you don't really feel ready until you're there. Actually, when you do the first step, di ba, Pastor? I think moving here in Manila, I don't feel like I'm ready to move here. So same story with Joshua. So it's really like interesting for me to know about the story of, the conquer but along the way there's a lot of negative people.
Yeah. The whole summary of the book of Joshua and why we are diving into it and why God told Joshua to be strong and courageous was because for years already, Joshua has seen the faithfulness of God.
Right.
Yeah.
He had heard the promises of God. He has seen God fulfill those promises.
Yeah.
And so it is human nature to try to figure out, bakit ganito?
Yeah.
Paano? How do I do it? Am I ready? Ganon. But I think the theme that we want to hold on to in the book of Joshua is that God's people live off of promises, not explanations.
Right.
Right.
That we must live off of promises, not explanations. Because if we always need an explanation, then we will never feel like we're ready.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
God said, be strong and courageause. Promise. Right? I'm going to make you strong and courageous. But not an explanation of, right? Like, kasi
Yeah.
God doesn't have to re-explain himself. Because we can look back on all of his faithfulness and say, okay, you've already explained yourself. Now I can actually live off of the promise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if you would look at the journey of the Israelites, I like what Pastor Nolan said. Pastor ka talaga, no? Pero
Minsan lang. Kapag may video.
Pero what he said about God's faithfulness, I think that's the central theme of the book of Joshua. It's really the faithfulness of God and His promises. Looking at how this all started, time pa lang ni Abraham, God gave the promise already, and then it was passed on to Isaac, and then from Isaac to Jacob,
right.
and then from Jacob to the to the kids, the 12, and then fast forward Moses, then Joshua. Tama naman yung ko.
Yeah.
Sunod ko, okay. But if you would look at it, it's only during the time of Joshua that the promise came to pass. The fruition of the promise sa book lang ni Joshua. So, like the things that you said earlier, the questions na kaya ko ba to, do I have what it takes, alam ko ba yung gagawin. I think we need to come to a place, and that's my struggle.
Yeah.
Na sometimes kasi I have to understand first.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to know exactly what I'm supposed to do next, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
sometimes kasi the motivation behind that is fear and worry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Usually.
And one of the things that I'm learning now is my job as a Christian. My job is not to fully understand God and His ways. My job is to fully trust Him and obey.
Right.
And it's really hard to do. Kasi imagine kung sabihin ba naman sa'yo ni, di ba like what you said, di ba? Sabihin ba naman sa'yo ni God, Joshua, my servant Moses, that's in verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now be ready, get ready, cross the Jordan River,
Yeah.
because you're gonna lead these people to experience
Right.
or to receive their promise. So that's a challenge there. Now, my question is, what is the assurance that we can get from the Word of God, specifically from the book of Joshua,
Mm-hmm.
that God will fulfill what He has promised?
Yeah. Like you said, it's going to be applicable to every walk of life, right? From Elvy, you are, what's your position again at your business?
I'm the financial controller.
Oh yeah, so you
Yeah.
control all the finances,
Yeah.
right? And you tell them to tithe
Yeah.
for an amazing resort. Joshua, you are an entrepreneur also, right? And consultant, business person, all of these things. From our back end guys from editor for a big gaming area for Philippines. We've got all of these things, right? And we all know the promises, or we understand that there are promises of God. And how can we hold on to that? And how can we hold on to the faithfulness of God? In the book of Joshua, we will be able to dive in and see that He is not saying be faithful and just be blind.
Mm.
We're going to see that He intervenes time and time again. When Joshua was going to go battle his first battle, right? He's going to fight Jericho, right? The city of palms, beautiful land, walls, enemy. He encounters Jesus, right? Or they say he encounters an angel of the Lord, or right? It is many times they believe that whenever it says like that, it's actually Jesus incarnate, right? Yeah. And he tells Jesus, he goes, "Who are you, friend or foe?" Right? Because I want to know, right? Joshua's a soldier too.
Yeah.
He was a slave of Egypt, he was a soldier, and he was a servant of Moses, right? And so he tells he tells Jesus, right, this angel of the Lord, "Who are you? Right? Are you with us or against us?" And
Or I will kill you.
yeah, right? and he says, neither friend or foe. And then he bows down, right? And he goes, "Oh my gosh, it is God." That answer would confuse us today.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what do you mean? Are you God? Well, are you for me, God? Are you against me, God? God, are you going to help us, God? No. What made Joshua strong and courageous and get on his knees of worship? Simply the presence of God.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think that trumps everything. I don't need to know if He's for me. I don't need to know if He's against me. I don't need to know if this is actually His plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to know if it's going to go my way. All I need to know that I'm in His presence.
Right.
And if I'm in His presence, His character determines everything that I need to know.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in His presence, then I can be strong, I can be courageous, and I could take the wall and I could fight this enemy.
Wow.
In Jesus' name. My whole theme for this part 1 is really that God's people live off of promises, not explanations.
Wow.
Right? And so we're gonna probably have Q&A, for later on in the next time we meet. And so no matter where we're at, it's gonna be a great time to have discussion. So look, as you're tuning in, as you're watching, this time together, I want you to begin to ask questions and prepare for the next time we gather. We're in the book of Joshua. It's so applicable for our lives. You want to cross the promised land. Some of the questions that you've heard us discuss today, you might need clarification. You might need, there might be follow-up questions.
Right.
So this is what I want you to do. No matter what platform you're tuning in, I want you to jump into the comments right now and begin to ask your questions, right? Never hesitate. Ask a question that comes up. I want to know this. I want to know that. And of course, subscribe and click the notifications. Why? Because you help us break the algorithm. You help us reach more people for Jesus. And so this is not simply a religious podcast or video cast. This is just a practical life message. And any way we can help to lead people, right, to cross that and receive their promise, then that's good. So any final thoughts, questions before we end?
I guess, see you on Sunday. Don't miss church.
Yeah.
Very important.
Ayala Vertis North, 4th
Yes.
floor, 11 a.m., 3:30 p.m., Quezon City.
Click like
Oh,
and
yeah.
share. You can share it sa Facebook, IG, and yeah. We're so excited to be part of what God is doing here in Inspire Church.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we'll see you guys real soon.
See you.